Part 121. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Ixie. Chapter 1201. Chapter 1201. Xiao Yuer is allergic to mangoes. At the strong invitation of the Ye family brothers and sisters, Xiao Yuer was sent to the Ye family on weekends. Ye Wei was originally looking after her, but Ye Wei received an emergency call and had to leave the house. Len Yangzi watched her three children play in the yard, and they took Xiao Yuer to see the beautiful swing in the yard. Look, this is the swing my godfather made for us. Your godfather is so good. Xiao Yuer's words revealed deep envy. Ye Qingfeng patted her chest and promised, I have already told you that Ruruo and I's godfather is also your godfather. When the time comes, let your godfather make one for you too. Xiao Yuer corrected him, well, mommy said you can only call me uncle. Uncle, I'm just an uncle. My godfather is a very nice person. If you tell him when the time comes, he will definitely agree. Xiao Yuer still shook her head. Mommy said you can't accept things from strangers. For her, Nangong Luo was someone she had never interacted with in person, and was equivalent to a stranger. Although, she quite likes the stranger in the photo. Hearing what Xiao Yuer said, Yezhiruo gave her an idea. Brother, why don't we call the godfather here and let him be Yuer's godfather too, so that he is no longer a stranger? I think it's okay. The three children made their own decisions while talking. Ye Qingfeng hurriedly ran to the living room to call Nangong Luo. Like a little adult, he asked formally, Godfather, are you free? Today is the weekend, and Nangong Luo happens to be free while taking a break from his busy schedule. At this moment, he received invitations from two children. He had no reason to shirk and was willing to go and see the two children. Meanwhile, the three children were playing on the swings in the yard. As an older brother, Ye Qingfeng graciously gave up the swing to his two younger sisters. Len Yangzi brought fruit plates to the children. She had no idea that Nangong Luo was about to arrive at Yejia. Feng Zhiruo and Yuer, come over and eat some fruits. I've cut them up for you. Auntie, I don't want to eat fruit. Ye Qingfeng is not picky about food, but she is a little resistant to fruits. Len Yangzi shook her head, you must eat a little, often fruits. She handed the children forks. The Ye family brothers and sisters were already used to it. Everything on the plate was a nutritious combination. It's just that the fork handed to Xiao Yuer happened to be forked with mangoes. Xiao Yuer shook her head and refused to answer. Yuer doesn't like to eat fruits either. Len Yangzi was worried, maybe she had met another child who rejected fruits. Xiao Yuer shook her head again and explained, Mommy told Yuer not to eat this because it will cause stomachache. Ah, are they taboo? I'm sorry, these fruits are very common. The Ye family brothers and sisters have no fruit taboos. She ignored them for a moment. Len Yangzi quickly changed another plate for Xiao Yuer and let her eat by herself. The three children were sitting around the table. Ye Qingfeng was eating and playing. Why isn't your godfather here yet? Who did you say is coming? Godfather? Which godfather? Auntie is stupid, of course he is godfather Nangong. Being despised by the children, Len Yangzi almost spit out a mouthful of old blood. Nangong Luo was a regular guest of the Ye family. He didn't need a guard to notify him when he came here, so when he came in, Len Yangzi didn't know about it. By the time Len Yangzi learned the news of his coming from the children, Nangong Luo had already arrived at the door before she could stop him. Get excited, the father and daughter are about to meet. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Ixie. Chapter 1202. Chapter 1202. Yuer is bleeding. Nangong Luo was a regular guest of the Ye family. He didn't need a guard to notify him when he came here, so when he came in, Len Yangzi didn't know about it. By the time Len Yangzi learned the news of his coming from the children, Nangong Luo had already arrived at the door before she could stop him. The housekeeper was very enthusiastic when he saw him. "Mr. Nangong, are you coming to see the young master and the young lady?" "Yes, where are they?" "All in the yard." The housekeeper led the way, and Nangong Luo was also familiar with the road. "Miss Yor came over today. The young master and the young lady were very happy and took her to play on the swing in the yard." "Miss Yor, who is this?" At first hearing this unfamiliar title, Nangong Luo found it interesting. Why didn't he know about a stranger suddenly appearing in Yejia? "Oh, Miss Yor is a child brought here by Madam's friend. This housekeeper came here 3 years ago and is not clear about the affairs of Gongqin Li and Nangong Luo." Len Yangzi, who was about to stop her at the door, bumped into Nangong Luo here. Nangong Luo, who had no idea about it, greeted her happily. "Why are you in such a hurry?" You. Me, what's wrong with me? How did you come?" "What, can't I come?" "No, that." How could she use a reasonable excuse to prevent Nangong Luo from meeting Xiao Yuer? Nangong Luo shook his head. "Okay, Fenger and Zhiruo are in the yard, right? I'll go in and see them." Nangong Luo walked straight into the courtyard, and Len Yangzi didn't know how to stop him. As soon as Nangong Luo entered the yard, he heard the laughter of children. He saw a little boy standing next to the swing and gently pushing the 2 little girls sitting on the swing. "Brother, push faster. It's very heavy for you two to sit on." Although Ye Qingfeng is a boy, he is still young and has limited strength. Nangong Luo laughed after hearing this and gradually approached them. Perhaps Ye Zhiruo thought the swing was not fast enough. Ye Qingfeng suddenly pushed hard, and Xiao Yuer lost her grip and fell off the swing. Ye Qingfeng and Ye Zhiruo were frightened. Ye Qingfeng quickly grabbed the swing, and Ye Zhiruo also got off the swing. "Yuer," the brother and sister said in unison and ran to Xiao Yuer together. Xiao Yuer stood up from the ground and looked up at her brothers and sisters in front of her. Tears fell out in the blink of an eye. She didn't cry and make a fuss. She couldn't help but cry because she was in pain. "Yuer, I'm sorry." Ye Qingfeng and Ye Zhiruo apologized at the same time. "Are you injured?" As an adult, Nangong Luo hurried over and was the first to check whether the child had any injuries. Xiao Yuer turned over her hand, and there were wounds on her palms. This swing is specially customized for 2 children, so it is very close to the ground. Although Ye Qingfeng pushed hard, it was not very high. Xiao Yuer fell out and was hurt, but it was not serious. It's just that children's skin is too tender. Even if it is rubbed on the place where the floor is embedded, the skin will be broken. "What should I do, Godfather?" "Yuer is bleeding. Take her to see a doctor quickly." Okay, don't be impatient." Ye Qingfeng shouted anxiously in his ears. Nangong Luo carefully grabbed Xiao Yuer's arm and tried to communicate with this strange child. "Uncle, I will take you to treat the wound. The pain will go away after applying medicine. Don't cry." Xiao Yuer's cry was very small. She glanced at the palm of her hand and looked away. She still cried and said to him, "I won't cry." Tonight, the person who ranks first on the monthly fan list will get a physical gift between today and the National Day. Those who often leave comments in the book review area will get a physical gift. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lukixi. Chapter 1203. Chapter 1203. Ye Qingfeng betrays Yuer's identity. Ye Zhiruo comforted her. "Yuer, if you don't cry, sister will go with you." Nangong Luo reached out to pick up Xiao Yuer, lowered his head and said to Ye Qingfeng, "Go out quickly and let Aunt Yangzi prepare to treat the wound." At first, Len Yangzi learned some basic medical knowledge in order to take care of her 2 children. She also had a variety of medicines at home, so she could treat Xiao Yuer's wounds at home. Ye Qingfeng said oh and ran out quickly, but Len Yangzi didn't know where she went and couldn't find her. Yezhiruo asked the housekeeper to help carry the medicine box. She was very anxious and worried. Godfather, please help Xiao Yuer get treated quickly. Nangong Luo first held Xiao Yuer and washed the dust around the wound with water, then disinfected it with alcohol, and finally applied some medicine to her. In fact, it is not a very serious problem, it is just that children need to be pampered. Okay, be careful not to touch the wound. Does it still hurt? Xiao Yuer shook her head. You can see that she is lying even though she is still frowning. Such children are most likely to arouse the love and affection of adults, which makes them even more distressed. Nangong Luo felt that he had an inexplicable affection for this little girl whom he was not familiar with. Speak out if it hurts. Children don't lie. Perhaps the word lying sounded a little scary. Xiao Yuer glanced at him and then looked down at her palm that had just been smeared with medicine, and whispered, "It hurts a little." Yezhiruo climbed onto a stool at the same height as them. Yuer is not afraid, and it won't hurt if he blows on it. Sister, don't worry. Hearing these polite and sensible words from a 3-year-old child really made Nangong Luo feel a little different. Because Nangong Yu in his family has always been unreasonable, politeness and sensibleness have almost nothing to do with Nangong Yu, but now seeing a child as old as Nangong Yu, the difference is obvious. After applying the medicine, it really didn't hurt anymore. Xiao Yuer was still held in Nangong Luo's arms. She looked up at Nangong Luo, finally touching the uncle in the photo, and felt a warm feeling in her heart. I don't know why, Xiao Yuer felt that the feeling of being held in this uncle's arms was warmer than the feeling of being held in the arms of Godfather Yezikin at the airport that day. Nangong Luo suddenly remembered that he didn't know the origin of this little girl, so he asked casually, "Whose child is Yuer? Why haven't I seen her before?" Why do you adults ask this question? Even the children were tired of answering. Nangong Luo is different from other adults because he is not serious, so Ye Qingfeng is even more unscrupulous in front of him. Nangong Luo actually smiled, "You little brat, I asked you a question and you are not willing to answer it? I was just about to say that there seems to be a new type of robot on the market recently. Yuer is the child of Li Yulai's godmother." Before Nangong Luo could finish his words, Ye Qingfeng said it in one smooth breath. Len Yangzi, who had just walked to the door, heard this and didn't even dare to step out. She just stepped back out of the door. Len Yangzi's heart was already cold. It's over. She just left because she was afraid that Nangong Luo would ask her questions. She hesitated for a long time and walked back. By chance, she heard Ye Qingfeng reveal Xiao Yuer's identity at the door. If she goes in now, she really won't be able to escape. She feels so tired. Len Yangzi was right to sneak away, because the atmosphere inside was already very solemn. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1204. Chapter 1204, Adopted Daughter. Xiao Qingfeng, are you kidding me? I'm telling the truth, Godfather, please remember to buy me a new robot. Nangong Luo can no longer listen to robots or new restrictions. Now his mind is filled with one idea: Xiao Yuer is Li Yulai's daughter? He doesn't believe it. How can this be? Nangong Luo slowly put down Xiao Yuer in his arms and stared at Xiao Yuer's eyebrows carefully. The more he looked at them, the more similar they felt. But he didn't want to admit it or believe it. Xiao Yuer, tell uncle, who are your parents? Nangong Luo's expression was very different from before, which made Xiao Yuer feel a little at a loss. Xiao Yuer took a step back and stood next to Ye Qingfeng. Ye Qingfeng patted her shoulder and said, "Xiao Yuer, tell your godfather quickly." Xiao Yuer received encouragement from her two brothers and sisters, then she looked up at Nangong Luo and told him, "My mommy's name is Gongqin Li. Where is your father?" Xiao Yu'er shook her head. What does shaking your head mean? Nangong Luo is a little out of control now. The children have never seen him like this before, and they are all at a loss. Nangong Luo took a deep breath, tried to look gentle, tried to remain calm on the surface, and asked again, who is Xiao Yu'er's father? He only heard Xiao Yu'er's crisp voice telling him, I don't have a daddy. In the past, when I was abroad, other children would be picked up by their daddy or mommy, but she always only had her mommy or the aunt who took care of her life. She also asked the same question. She asked her mommy why she didn't have a daddy, and the answer she got was, Xiao Yu'er doesn't have a daddy. Just such a simple sentence, without even a reason. So Xiao Yu'er only remembers the sentence. When others ask her, she directly tells others, I don't have a daddy. Nangong Luo feels completely different when looking at Xiao Yu'er now. He asks Xiao Yu'er's age again. She was 3 years old. If this is the case, wouldn't it mean that Gong Qinli became pregnant when she went abroad? When this illusion appeared in his mind, Nangong Luo directly denied it. Gong Qinli was by his side at that time, and he knew that besides himself, only Gu Jinsi could get close to her. But if the child was Gu Jinsi's, then Gong Qinli couldn't possibly say that she had no father, so there was only one possibility left. He estimated that this little Yu'er was the child adopted by Gong Qinli. Xiao Yu'er, can you tell uncle, what is your full name? My name is Gong Qinyu. Sure enough. She followed Gong Qinli's surname. Adopted children, this is the only explanation. Thinking about it this way, Nangong Luo felt a little better. He praised, Gong Qinyu, this name is very nice. Xiao Yu'er accepted it calmly and thanked her politely, thank you, uncle. It's hard to imagine that Gong Qinli, with such a lively and out-of-the-box personality, could raise such a cute and shy child, who looks cute and sensible. Just when everything was calm, the phone in the living room rang. Ye Qingfeng was the first to run over and answer the phone. Hello, godmother. How are you doing today? I will pick up Xiao Yu'er and take her home later. Godmother, don't take Yu'er home, we haven't had enough fun yet. When Gong Qinli said that she wanted to take Yu'er home, not only did Ye Qingfeng object, but even Yezhiru ran over. Godmother, don't take Yu'er away, let's play with Sister Yu'er. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1205. Chapter 1205. Yu'er acts like a baby, uncle, hug. Nangong Luo listened quietly to the two children talking to the person on the other end of the phone, and his already rippling heart was already filled with turbulent waves. The person who called was Gong Qinli. From the moment he knew she had returned to China, his heart had never been truly at peace. He couldn't help but secretly went to Gong's house many times, but he couldn't openly invite her to meet him. Nangong Luo never thought that he could be so timid. It's like now, knowing that as long as he walks a few steps over, he can get a call, listen to her voice or talk to her, but in fact he is just sitting here, his whole body seems to be stiff and he can't move. Xiao Yu'er beside her has also run to the phone in the living room. Nangong Luo couldn't listen to what they said next. I only know that after hanging up the phone, the children had happy expressions on their faces. He asked casually, What? What did you just say? Ye Qingfeng, who wanted to get the new limited edition robot, was the first to answer. The godmother said she would come to take Yu'er home. We didn't want Yu'er to go home, so we convinced the godmother. At the end, there seemed to be a sense of accomplishment. Nangong Luo asked again, then, did your godmother say when she will come? The godmother will be here soon. Although I agree to let Yu'er stay, the godmother will also come. Gong Qinli is usually busy with her work and doesn't have much time to spend with her daughter, so whenever she has free time, she basically spends her time with Xiao Yu'er. Because Gong Qinli felt deeply guilty about Xiao Yu'er, she tried her best to be good to Xiao Yu'er and dote on her no matter what. Probably because of Iwajaiwu. After knowing that Xiao Yu'er was Gong Qinli's daughter, Nangong Luo fell in love with her even more. The more she looked at her, the more cute she felt. Moreover, he also tried to get words out of the child. Xiao Yu'er, have you and your mommy been living abroad before? Yu'er and mommy are together, this is something that makes Xiao Yu'er very proud. Is it just you and your mommy, no one else, like uncles like us or something? No. Xiao Yu'er very naively betrayed her own mother. Her answer made Nangong Luo very satisfied. Although he couldn't believe it, because he always thought that if Gu Jinsi followed Gong Qinli to go abroad, the two of them would be together naturally. But now we know from Xiao Yu'er's words that Gong Qinli has basically no close contact with any man, but Xiao Yu'er also mentioned, Uncle Gu has been to my house. Nangong Luo's face turned dark when he heard this. Who does the title Uncle Gu represent? He is definitely Gu Jinsi. It seems that Gong Qinli and Gu Jinsi still have a close relationship, but for some unknown reason, they cannot be together. When it was time for a nap, Xiao Yu'er felt sleepy. The considerate sister Yezhiruo noticed the time and reminded her, Yu'er, it's time to take a nap. This is the only thing Yezhiruo has specifically told her three children before going out. Yezhiruo remembers the task left by her mother. Xiao Yu'er stretched out her hand and yawned, with a lazy look, unexpectedly surpassing Nangong Luo's skill, and said lazily, Uncle, hug. A little cutie who can act like a spoiled child so naturally that no one can refuse her request. Nangong Luo hugged her into his arms again, and Xiao Yu'er put her arms around his neck. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lukixi. Chapter 1206. Chapter 1206 Li Yulai and Luo meet. Nangong Luo held the child in his arms without difficulty at all, but there was a heavy feeling in his heart. This is Gong Qinli's daughter. It would be nice if it was his daughter. He is really crazy to have such thoughts. It can be seen from Xiao Yu'er's behavior that she trusts Nangong Luo very much and does not reject him at all. She even likes this embrace. Maybe it was because when she was injured just now, Nangong Luo coaxed her so gently to treat her wound. Which room? Nangong Luo asked Yezhiruo. Yezhiruo walked in front and led the way. Yu'er, go to my room. Xiao Yu'er has developed the habit of taking a nap. At this time every day, she can easily fall asleep as long as she quietly closes her eyes. Yezhiruo and Xiao Yu'er were lying on a big bed together. Nangong Luo looked at the two children condescendingly, and couldn't help but sigh when he thought of Xiao Yu'er's identity. And, Gong Qinli will come. After both girls went to bed obediently, Nangong Luo returned to the living room and saw Ye Qingfeng still playing with his toys. Ye Qingfeng doesn't like taking naps. Ye Wei sometimes forces him to take a rest, but if Ye Wei and Ye Zikan are not around, no one can control him. Ye Qingfeng was very shrewd. When he saw Nangong Luo coming down, he ran over and said, Godfather, when will the robot you mentioned just now be available? Don't worry, I will definitely buy it for you. Thank you, Godfather. However, you still have to answer a few questions for me. Yeah, he nodded vigorously now, for fear that Nangong Luo wouldn't be able to appreciate his sincerity. Nangong Luo hesitated for a moment and began to ask all the questions in his heart. How many people were there when Li Yulai returned to China? Just Li Yulai's godmother and sister Yu'er. Then have you ever heard them mention me? Have. What did you say? Ye Qingfeng scratched his head and thought for a while, then answered honestly, that day I showed Yu'er your photo, and I told Yu'er that Ruruo and I could also be her godfathers, but the godmother didn't agree. What a coincidence, he doesn't want to be yours godfather either. My godmother said that you can't call you godfather, and she also asked you to forget about you. Nangong Luo didn't know what words to use to describe his mood. Suddenly I lost interest in asking questions, because I felt that if I continued to ask, I would embarrass myself. Zhao Yechingfen waved his hand and dismissed it casually. Okay, go and play by yourself. Next. He didn't know what to do next, so he sat quietly in the living room and waited for the arrival of the person he hadn't seen for a long time. When Gong Qinli came, she saw Len Yangzi outside the house and greeted her warmly. Len Yangzi quickly ran over to stop her. Gong Qinli took a step back in confusion. What are you doing? Are you in such a hurry? Len Yangzi smiled bitterly. Well, let me remind you first, Nangong Luo is here. As soon as the words fell, the smile on Gong Qinli's face disappeared instantly. And he has met Yor, and Yor seems to like him quite a bit. I understand, thank you. Just a few words were like a heavy stone weighing on her heart, making her breathless. Even though there was only less than 10 meters away, my footsteps felt heavy and it was so difficult to take even one step. But she can't hide anymore. As long as she stays in S City, she will meet again one day. When Gong Qinli appeared at the door, Nangong Luo happened to look up. The two looked at each other. He said, long time no see. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1207. Chapter 1207. Did I hurt you? This is a confrontation after 4 years. Where is Yor? Yor is sleeping in Ruruo's room. Why didn't you take a nap today? I cannot sleep. Okay, if you don't listen to mommy, I will file a complaint when your mommy comes home. Godmother, you can't betray me. It depends on your mood. Gong Qinli deliberately talked to the children in an attempt to resolve the weird atmosphere after meeting Nangong Luo. From beginning to end, there were only 4 words, long time no see. Nangong Luo didn't make any comment after that, and Gong Qinli didn't bother to ask him anything. But just when she was about to go upstairs, she suddenly felt her arm being pulled. Nangong Luo pulled her whole body back. Hey, what are you doing? Come with me. Because there was still a cool night breeze in the living room, Nangong Luo forced Gong Qinli away. In fact, Gong Qinli didn't struggle much and followed him half-pushed. At a quiet place where no one was disturbed, Gong Qinli suddenly shook off Nangong Luo's hand. She touched her arm that was pulled just now, and couldn't help but murmured, "You are so rude, your hand will be torn off." As soon as she finished speaking, her warm hand held up her palm. Gong Qinli's pupils suddenly dilated, and Nangong Luo's concerned greetings came to her ears. Did it hurt you? Gong Qinli felt her ears itching. Why did this sound so strange? Okay, it's nothing. She suffered much worse than this when she was doing her job as a police officer. Tell me, why did you drag me here? Long time no see, when did you come back? Nangong Luo asked knowingly. Gong Qinli curled her lips and replied casually, not long ago. Really, you won't even say a word to us old friends like me when you come back. I feel it's very troublesome. I just want to go home. I don't want to cause trouble. But you didn't tell us that you have a daughter. Each time, he forcibly added amen to the word I that he almost blurted out, but who couldn't hear the words in it. Gong Qinli lowered her eyes and sighed deeply, then raised her head and looked at him, pretending to smile lightly. You all have a daughter, is there anything strange about me having a daughter? Nangong Luo was unable to answer a simple question. He even had the impulse to tell her directly that Nangong Yu was not his daughter. Yor, she. Yor is just my daughter and has nothing to do with anyone else. Gong Qinli thought he was going to mention the past, so she stopped him with one sentence. Gong Qinli's behavior of noting that there was number 300 taels of silver here made Nangong Luo feel that Yor was her adopted child and had nothing to do with anyone else. I originally thought you were still a girl who needed to be taken care of, but I didn't expect you could already take care of a child. Girl? You call a mother who gives birth to a child a girl? Gong Qinli's tone was a little strange, probably because Nangong Luo's attitude made her feel a little unwilling. Nangong Luo grasped the key point and asked, "What do you mean by this? I should ask you this." Nangong Luo frowned and asked in disbelief, "You mean, Yuer is your biological daughter?" Gong Qinli nodded and acknowledged Xiao Yuer's identity without hesitation. "Yes, Yuer is my biological child." "Impossible." "What is impossible?" "Then tell me who her father is, whose child is she with?" End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1208. Chapter 1208. The Child of One Night Stand. Then tell me who her father is, whose child is she with? Nangong Luo's tone suddenly became intense. Gong Qinli calmly glanced away and answered with 3 words, "It's not important." For her, it no longer matters who Yuer's father is. The child is already 3 years old and is her heart's treasure. But Nangong Luo was driven to panic by her half-finished words. "Yuer is 3 years old. How could you have a 3-year-old daughter when you went abroad 4 years ago?" "What's impossible? There are so many handsome foreign guys. I feel so lonely abroad. If I find a boyfriend and have a one-night stand, many unexpected situations may happen, right?" "You are not that casual." Nangong Luo's voice became a little darker. He thought Gong Qinli was lying, or he didn't want to believe those words. Gong Qinli shook her head. "Nangong Luo, I beg you not to deny my answer," in a taken-for-granted tone, "as if you had a child within a month of falling in love with Zhong Yun. So why is it impossible for me? It's just that I wouldn't be as lucky as you to get married." The atmosphere between the two is getting more and more tense, and it seems that when the emotions brew to a certain extent, they will start to quarrel. But when it was almost done, Gong Qinli turned around and left. She walked straight to Yezhiruo's room. Nangong Luo followed her without saying a word. Gong Qinli turned her head slightly and glanced back, without saying a word or taking any action to stop her, as if unrelated people were doing unrelated things. Gong Qinli gently pushed the door open and went in, followed by Nangong Luo. The two of them had a tacit understanding and did not make any big noise. Gong Qinli first went to see the 2 sleeping children. Xiao Yuer, who was not calm enough, put her little hand outside the quilt. Gong Qinli reached out and touched her skin lightly. After feeling the coldness, she carefully picked up Xiao Yuer's hand and put it back under the quilt. After covering the 2 children with quilts, she sat on the stool beside the bed and watched quietly. Such a gentle Gong Qinli was something Nangong Luo had never seen before. But Nangong Luo felt a sigh of relief in his heart, and the suffocation that could not be relieved was getting bigger and bigger. Why? Why? He has been protecting him for so many years but still has no one, yet he gave birth to a child for a stranger? Such a cute child. I am really unwilling. Nangong Luo couldn't help clenching his fists. He turned around and left because he was afraid that if he stayed any longer, he would break the peace. Nangong Luo walked very heavily step by step. When he returned to the living room again, Ye Qingfeng had already moved and rolled on the sofa. "Godfather, what did you and your godmother just do?" Godfather and godmother, these 2 titles are called together as if they are a family. The pleasant title made Nangong Luo feel less sad in his heart. But now he has no intention of playing with Ye Qingfeng. "Why do you like Yuer so much? Yuer is so cute. I saw that you and Ruruo didn't like playing with Nangong Yu. I thought you 2 siblings didn't like other children." "Godfather, don't be angry if I tell the truth." "You say. You promise not to be angry." "I promise." "Nangong Yu snatches my sister's toys as soon as she comes. I don't like her and I don't want to let her play with her." After finishing complaining, Ye Qingfeng sighed, "It would be great if Sister Yuer was the godfather's daughter." "Well, fair. The number 1 fan in the monthly list is 18805. Join the book club group 1450160019 and privately stamp the Chinese Valentine's Day to receive the prize. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lukixi. Chapter 1209. Chapter 1209 Waiting for Dad to come and play with you. It would be great if Sister Yu'er was the godfather's daughter. Yeking Feng's sigh made Nangong Luo's heart ripples. He suddenly remembered that since Gongqin Li was raising the child alone, didn't it mean that she was still single? If so, can he try again? Nangong Luo sat on the edge of the sofa and waved to Ye Qingfeng, Xiao Qingfeng, come here. For the sake of the robot, Ye Qingfeng ran over as soon as he heard Nangong Luo's call. Nangong Luoshan said to him mysteriously, you do me a favor, maybe your wish will come true. What? Ye Qingfeng opened his eyes wide, obviously interested in this. Go and find out for me. Nangong Luo said. Ye Qingfeng nodded, and finally responded with 2 words, understood. Remember, ask skillfully and don't let others know that I asked you to do this. Don't worry, Godfather, I'm so smart. Okay, I believe you. After giving instructions, Nangong Luo stood up and left. Ye Qingfeng grabbed the corner of his clothes and said, Godfather, are you leaving? Nangong Luo said to him seriously, I'm going to deal with my affairs. Remember your mission. Ye Qingfeng jumped up and saluted him. Zhonyun was playing outside with Nangong Yu when she received an unsolicited call from Nangong Luo. Nangong Luo rarely took the initiative to contact her, so this phone call made Zhonyun look forward to it. Luo, what's the matter? Where are you? I'm playing outside with Yu'er. Can you take a day off today? Otherwise, if you come too, Yu'er will be happy to see you. Okay, address. Southern District Jinggang Building. Zhonyun quickly reported the address. Nangong Luo hung up the phone directly after hearing clearly. If this attitude were applied to other couples, the woman would definitely be dissatisfied, but for Zhonyun, this is indeed a God-given opportunity. Although she is Nangong Luo's wife in name only, they have very few opportunities to get along with each other. They don't even spend as much time together as Nangong Luo's group of friends. However, she cannot control Nangong Luo's whereabouts and can only try her best to catch every moment. A chance. When I invited Nangong Luo to come just now, I had the mentality of giving it a try, but I didn't expect that Nangong Luo would really agree. Very good. Zhonyun felt relieved and a little excited. Nangong Yu came out of the play area and ran towards her. Mommy, I'm hungry and I want to eat. Okay, let's find a place nearby. I want to go to the dessert shop from last time. Yu'er, good boy, your dad just called us and made an appointment with us. If you leave now, you won't be able to wait for Dad. Because Nangong Yu is not Nangong Luo's daughter, Zhonyun has many scruples in his actions. Nangong Yu, who was rejected, was a little dissatisfied. He turned around and sat next to him, unwilling to talk to Zhonyun. Zhonyun sat down next to her and coaxed her in a good voice, Yu'er, be good. Dad is finally willing to come out to play with us. Let's wait for Dad to come and play together. He never plays with me, Nangong Yu roared to vent his dissatisfaction. In fact, Zhonyun knew what her daughter's temper was like. People in the Nangong family originally liked this child very much, but as she grew older, her temper also grew, and others became resentful. Nangong Luo also liked this child too much. Zhonyun sighed, so you have to be obedient, so Daddy will play with you. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lukixi. Chapter 1210. Chapter 1210 The Unreasonable Nangong Yu. Snored. By the time Nangong Luo arrived at the agreed place, 15 minutes had passed. Zhou Yun kept looking up, so she found Nangong Luo as soon as he appeared. Luo, Zhou Yun stood up and waved to him. Nangong Yu also stood up. Nangong Luo gradually approached, but Zhou Yun did not stay where he was, but took the initiative to approach him. Hurry up, but Zhou Yun didn't forget to hold her daughter with her before leaving. After the three of them met, Zhou Yun was very enthusiastic, but Nangong Yu stood beside her silently and didn't call anyone. Zhou Yun realized something was wrong and tugged Nangong Yu's hand. Please call daddy. Just now, weren't you waiting for daddy to come and play with you? Zhou Yun kept winking at Nangong Yu while talking. But Nangong Yu was very arrogant and glanced away as if she hadn't seen him. Even her eyes were obviously dissatisfied. When Nangong Luo saw this 3-year-old child, he remembered what Mrs. Nangong had said to him, the child sometimes looks very gloomy. The word dark may be a bit too much to describe a 3-year-old child, but she really gives people that feeling. It's not just naughty, not just ignorant, it's like she has no concept of right and wrong at all. Over there, Zhou Yun was still urging Nangong Yu to call someone. Call someone quickly. But Nangong Yu was stunned and refused to speak. Nangong Luo shook his head helplessly and said, forget it. He didn't care whether Nangong Yu called Cheng his father in name, but he felt more and more that this child was difficult to raise. I have reminded Zhou Yun many times before not blindly drown their children. However, Zhou Yun has a set of ways to raise children. He is too lazy to intervene as a partner as a cooperative relationship. Seeing a good opportunity to build a relationship being wasted by her daughter, Zhou Yun was unhappy inside, but she did not show it in the end. She could only use excuses to change the subject. Well, Luo, what do you want to do now? Nangong Luo was hesitating to find a suitable occasion to talk to Zhou Yun. Nangong Yu, who had been reluctant to speak just now, had already stood up and interrupted the conversation between the two adults. I'm hungry and I want to eat. With her imperative tone, she would not give up if she disagreed. Zhou Yun quickly covered her mouth, but Nangong Yu couldn't understand the expression on the person's face and struggled hard, unwilling to give up. Nangong Luo then said, just follow her wishes and find a place to eat first. Okay. The three of them found a restaurant nearby, but after all, they still didn't go to the dessert shop Nangong Yu requested. Because the dessert shop is 10 kilometers away from here, Zhou Yun doesn't want to cause more trouble because of her. When ordering food, Nangong Luo handed Zhou Yun the menu choices, and Zhou Yun ordered everything Nangong Luo liked. Nangong Luo took a look at the menu, thinking about what he had decided in his heart, and his attitude was slightly better than before. Order something you like to eat. Zhou Yun was flattered, we can all do it, I won't pick it. She handed the menu back to the waiter and sat face to face with Nangong Luo. The atmosphere seemed to be good. But the real mistake is that there is Nangong Yu next to him. Nangong Yu suddenly said to Zhou Yun, Mommy, I'm thirsty and need some water. Zhou Yun quickly poured her a cup of tea on the table. Nangong Yu turned his head away and said, I don't want to drink this. End of this chapter.